Good evening, ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties. This is Alex coming at you from the underworld, and welcome back to another episode of Happy October, everyone, and welcome back to my second video for Halloween-themed book reviews. Unfortunately, down here in Mississippi, it is still blazing balls. Yeah, there's some dead leaves on the ground outside, but as far as weather goes, it does not feel like October. Now, granted, this is only the first week of October, so hopefully the closer we get to the holiday, the more it'll start to feel like the season. Now, if you remember right, in the last video I did, I had requested a pumpkin spice latte, and I think that I did it very nicely. And when it was delivered, it was not necessarily delivered in the way that I expected. Well, what are you doing just standing there? Let me have it! So, I have learned my lesson about asking others for a pumpkin spice latte. But fear not, because before December 1st gets here, there will be a pumpkin spice latte in this basic bitch's hand. Trust me. Now, on to the book. Last week, I read Halloween Night by R.L. Stine. And as an adult, I discovered it was honestly nothing more than a guilty pleasure. It was a fun, leisure read that had the same effect for me that a bad horror movie would. It was just something I couldn't turn away from, and it was something that did kind of spark a little bit of nostalgia for me, but not by much. And I think the only reason why it really did is simply because it was nothing more than an R.L. Stine book. Now, after I posted the video for that book review, I went to social media and saw where a lot of people were saying that this series was not his best series, which it's only 2 books in the series, and of course they're both out of print. And so, since this is not something that had expanded out beyond 2 books, I decided, well, I'm not going to really waste too much time by reading the second book. It's only going to take me a day or so, which is honestly what it took, a day or so. And unfortunately, after reading this book, it feels like it took away the guilty pleasure that part 1 established. And after reading this, I've just decided to go on a Stine hiatus. I do have his books, Silent Night. I have that trilogy, and I was hoping to read it this December, but after reading Halloween Night 2, I'm afraid that if I enter those books, I'll probably be going into it with a negative mindset, so I probably won't enjoy them as much as what I thought I would. So those will get read next year. But on to what you can expect with Halloween Night Part 2. As Halloween approaches, we return to the melodramatic world of Brenda, Hallie, and Tracy. And in this sequel, we do have a few new characters, such as Angela, who is Brenda's new friend, and Jake, who is Brenda's new boyfriend. And compared to last year, everything is moving a lot better. That is, of course, until Brenda discovers Dina has been released from the mental institution, Hallie steals Jake from her, and then a man begins stalking her. And as this stalking progresses, Brenda starts receiving these cryptic messages that this is going to be her last Halloween alive. And despite all of this is going down, Brenda decides that she's going to pull a prank on Jake on Halloween night. And as the prank starts to form, we discover that she's going to pull this prank in a place that might not be very safe. And of course, as this is about to happen, we discover this place that she is about to visit is going to be the exact spot where the killer decides to strike. I'm sorry to disappoint, but there's really nothing to grab onto here. And what I mean by that is R.L. Stine has said in previous interviews that he does not do his research, and the book really is not paying homage to anything. It doesn't even pay homage to Halloween. And what I mean by that is, even though it's set on Halloween, it just doesn't put the reader in the spirit of the season, or at least it didn't put me in the spirit of the season. It seems like it just simply is a storyline that takes place on the holiday to capitalize on the holiday. But maybe that's just me. Now, without there being anything to grab onto, not even having any sort of historical comments or anything that I could elaborate on. All I can say is this book is out of print. It is a part of the Duo series for Halloween Night. There's nothing after this, but it is a part of a bigger series called Point Horror. And this is, of course, a series where multiple authors contributed, and it was intended for young adults. And some of these books are still available on Audible and ebook. So you might luck out and find some that way. And as far as everything else goes, you'll probably have to go to a used bookstore or find an online secondhand seller. So with that aside, it is now time to move on to the spoiler section of this video, which I am going to reveal who the killer is in this section. So if you don't want to know that, please skip this section of the video. But you will only have 17 seconds to do this. And if you would prefer to skip, just move down to the comment section of this video. You'll see that I have a pinned comment with a timestamp in it. Just click that timestamp and it's going to move you on to the thoughts section. So as I said, 17 seconds, that's all you got. If you want to click away, do it now. So ready, set, go. Now that everyone has had a chance to click away, I want to address a few things that got under my skin with this book. For starters, everything remains stagnant. There is hardly no character advancement here. Everyone feels like they're in the same rut that they were in last year, and it just feels like there's no growth. Now, because of how the characters in this series feel superficial and they feel like they're just out for number one, I really gained the idea that everyone was really a sociopath. And that's just by how the character development was portrayed in the first book. Unfortunately, because of me having that assumption and drawing to that, it automatically translated over into book 2, and also at the same time, Stine just did not provide anything that was very redeeming for anyone. Now, you do have Dina, who says that she's sorry for what she did last year, but because of me painting her in my mind as a sociopath, I think that she's only sorry because she doesn't want to go back to a mental institution, and also at this point she realizes she's probably not prison material, so she's just swallowing a bitter pill to get on with life. Now, you do have Brenda, who isn't as much of a bitch in this book as she was in the first one, but still she's not the Virgin Mary. Now, you do have where she and Angela go to the mall, and Angela is upset because she's chubby. That's the words that the book uses, chubby. And so Angela is upset because of her body type, and Brenda's like, oh, well, just buy the clothes that you want anyway, even if you don't fit into them, because it'll give you a goal to work towards. Well, that kind of sounds positive, I guess. I mean, there's been times before where I've seen clothes that I've wanted and they don't fit, and so I will try to lose weight to get into those. But at the same time, I kind of thought to myself after doing that, it wasn't very positive in the sense of what a long run would be. Like, I don't care what you look like, and I don't care if you're overweight as far as appearance sake goes. Appearance is the last thing that matters to me. But I do care about people who have health concerns when they are overweight. Personally, I lost 50 pounds recently, and it was because of health concerns. And so with how this is painted, and with me having the epiphany in my own life of buying clothes for that reason, it's still for a superficial benefit, not a health benefit. And so that kind of plays off in that sense for this scene. Now, I do find it funny that Hallie stole Brenda's boyfriend again, because the thing is, Brenda has one of these personality types where she simply just doesn't learn. She's the kind of person where, with Jake, how he's presented, all I see is nothing but a Ted Part 2. And if the red flags are there for the reader, the red flags should also be there for her. So Brenda's learning the hard way. Now, on to the red herrings. It's obvious Dina is not the stalker in this book because she has learned her lesson and she's just ready to continue life outside of a mental institution, and she's just trying to avoid prison. That's it. Now, the fat man in this book, and I say the fat man because that's how the book portrays him and that's how the book calls him. The book calls him the fat man, quote unquote. And so the reason why he is not the stalker, and it's so blatant that he's not, is because he's so bumbling and he's an idiot. I mean, it literally is something that portrays him in a sense where he is supposedly the stalker, but it almost becomes comedic, and it fails at even being comedic. Now, the thing is, with the fat man, he is after Brenda because Brenda lost her wallet at the mall and he's simply just trying to return her wallet. Now, Brenda, being the melodramatic bitch that she is, every time she sees this guy trying to approach her, she throws her hands up in the air, goes batshit crazy, and runs like hell, even if she's already in a public place. Now, at the same time, this stupid guy could have simply yelled at her, "Hey, I got your wallet, hold up the wallet," and, everything would be over and done with. So all of this could have simply been avoided had the guy just simply yelled at her, "Yo, bitch, dropped your wallet." But that's not what happened. So I kind of felt like there was a lot of this book that it was obvious before it was even spelled out. And when it was spelled out, it just did not set right with me because even teenagers, I think, are way more advanced than this. A teenager is going to read this and be like, yeah, no shit. The last thing I want to do is bash an author, so I'm going to try to enter this as nice as I can. I want to comment on how R.L. Stine portrays overweight people in this book. Now, I understand that this was a different time and maybe he was trying to influence people to become healthier, but the way he does this, it honestly comes across as nothing more than fat shaming. And what I mean by that is with Angela, every time he gets an opportunity, he refers to her as the chubby girl. And then with the guy who is the supposed stalker, through dialogue, he's always referenced as the fat man. And most of the time this is mentioned in front of Angela, which with her being overweight, you would think that she would say, well, hey, can we refer to him as something else, like maybe the pervert or the asshole? But no, that never happens, and we're just left with him being known as nothing more than the fat man. Now, you do have Brenda, who is a little supportive of Angela, I guess you could say. And with that is there's a scene where she's trying to influence Angela to go in and buy the clothes that she wants, and it will inspire her to lose weight so she can fit in them. Now, this is a superficial reason for wanting to lose weight. And truth be it, it's not a good reason to lose weight, because if you're just simply trying to lose weight to fit in some clothes, you're going to fall off of that bandwagon and you're going to go back into the same routine that you were in. You need to lose weight for health reasons, and you need to make a dietary change for those reasons. And with that life change, it allows you to be able to stay on a path. And also, if you do fall off the wagon, that's cool, whatever. You can jump right back on it. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to lose weight, lose it for the right reasons, which are health reasons, not appearance reasons, in my opinion. So we do have that scene at least. But then, of course, Brenda, her shining colors come out. And this is in a part of the book where you have the girls hanging out in one of their bedrooms, and pretty much here's what happens. Tracy started to reply, but Angela came bursting into the room, breathing hard. Well, of course she would breathe hard, she's overweight. Sorry I'm so late, but Miss Anderson kept the whole choir rehearsing. It wasn't staccato enough. Angela sighed. It's never staccato enough. Now, what do you guess Brenda does? I understand that when you're a host and you have like a guest over, you want to offer up whatever you're enjoying to them. But also at the same time, if someone's trying to lose weight, you really need to respect the fact that they're trying to lose weight and to not give temptation. You just don't need to do that. So here's what Brenda does. Want a pretzel? Brenda raised a pretzel in Angela's general direction. Now, is this a small pretzel that's like in a bag, or is this a big breaded pretzel? Because if this is a small pretzel, this is really being some petty shit here. So Angela shoved it away. You know that I'm trying to diet. She gestured at her plump body. Do I look like I need a pretzel? One pretzel can't hurt, Brenda replied. Again, is this a small pretzel or is it a huge one? Either way, the whole scene just feels distasteful. No pun intended on that. Now another scene. And this is where Angela reveals herself as the killer. Let's see. Angela nodded. A grim smile played her lips. It's so easy, Bryn, she replied. I could do whatever I wanted. There was no way you wouldn't trust poor, chubby Angela. That's what we're working with. And those are just 2 moments. That's not even considering the horribly constructed cliffhanger at the beginning of this book, where you have Angela and Brenda who are at the mall, and Angela's like, look over there. And then the chapter ends and the next chapter begins. Well, when the next chapter begins, lo and behold, Angela is trying to get Brenda's attention because there's the food court. And guess who's in the food court? That's right. The fat man. And so it just seems like this is all done in a negative light. It feels like it's done as a sad choice of humor. And overall, it just doesn't work. Maybe it did back then, and maybe that's why so many people were assholes at that time and have grown up to be assholes about fat shaming and stuff. I don't know. But that's what you don't do. And even when Angela comes out as being the killer, her motive is that she is the stalker and the killer because she had a crush on Jake and Brenda took Jake away from her, so that's why she did all this. Now, in the story, when you have Brenda that goes over to Angela's house, you see that she has 2 coffins in there, and also there are the stripped skeletons of 2 humans, which she just says that these are decorations for Halloween. But at the end of the book, you discover that the skeletons are actually Angela's parents. Now, there's not enough context here to know exactly how these coffins and skeletons came to be inside of her home. Did she dig her parents up after they were buried and bring them back like Ed Gein? Or, are the coffins really just decoration and she killed her parents? But the thing is, by how Stine treats Angela, I'm surprised he did not make her motive be that she killed her parents and ate them because they put a padlock on the refrigerator, and then she went on like this hunger strike trying to lose weight, and then she lured all of her friends there where she could kill and eat them too. But at least in this regard, Stine took the higher road. Personally, I like R.L. Stine. I've seen a few of the interviews he's given, and he seems like a nice guy, and I've had a few friends who have met him, and they say that he is a very, very, very sweet man, and also he's responsible for getting an entire generation to read. But with this book, it's really unnecessary. It doesn't really need to exist. If you've read the first book, you can pretty much just simply end it there. This rehashes almost everything from the first, and you fall into the same rut that the first book presented, and the only real difference is the motive in stalking and killing. So it just doesn't work for me. And I can understand why there's not a third part. It's unnecessary. And the thing is, I just really feel like there's no guilty pleasure anymore with this one. The first one, it just seemed like it was fun to read. With the sequel, the only way I was able to make it through this book was to simply imagine that it took place in the land of South Park or Family Guy's Quahog. So the question is, can I recommend this book? And personally, Oh my god, you're here with a pumpkin spice latte. Give it to me. Give it. I didn't even have to ask. Give it to me.
Say trick or treat.
Trick or treat.
Now make a wish.
Okay, alright. I wish for a pumpkin spice latte. I wish for a pumpkin spice Motherfucker. On to the questions section of this video. First off, what Halloween-themed book would you recommend that would put me into the spirit of the season? Secondly, what is a Halloween prank that you have pulled on someone or that someone has pulled on you that will always be memorable? Please share that in the comments. Now, as far as a prank goes in my regards, I really don't pull Halloween pranks because everyone already expects the worst out of me, and so to pull a prank, it would have to be very elaborate, and truth be it, I'm just too lazy to go that far. I want to simply enjoy the holiday with horror movies, drinks, food, and friends. That's it. So, as far as me pulling a prank, sorry to disappoint, but there's really not one. Now, I do have to admit there was one Halloween where my mom pulled a prank on me that scared the hell out of me. Now, just to paint the picture here, I live on family property, and I live between my mom and my grandma. So if you step out my front door, you can see my mom's house to the left, my grandma's house to the right. Well, this one fateful Halloween, it started about noon when I was at work, and I had learned that there was an escaped convict from the local prison. And I don't think he had done anything like kill anyone, but he was, of course, an inmate of prison. So him escaping is not necessarily the best thing you want to hear about, especially on Halloween. Well, growing up in Vicksburg, there's always been some pretty bad crime here. And truth be it, as the years progress, the crime also gets worse. But I live out in the country, so I am really far away from all of that, even though the crime does come out here from time to time. But living in the sticks does have its advantages in this aspect. But anyway, the day progresses, they never catch the escapee, and night falls, and I go into my same Halloween routine of enjoying food, drinks, and friends and movies. And as the night gets later, they still haven't caught the guy. Everyone leaves. I'm at the house by myself. And as I'm starting to wind down, my mom calls me and she's in a panic. She's telling me to make sure the doors are locked, make sure the blinds are pulled, that there's some guy in my yard and he is looking like this person who escaped prison. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, the whole prison jumpsuit and all that stuff. And so she's freaking out on the phone and it sounds real. And it's freaking me out. And so I'm on the phone with her and I'm waiting for the cops to show up. And so she decides to take this a step further and start beating on the side of my house. Well, only after she hears through the phone that my heart has dropped out through my ass does she start laughing. And it was at this moment that I decided, you know, Mom, you got me. You got me. I deserved it. There had been times before that I had scared the ever-loving living hell out of you, and it was not Halloween. It was just some random day that I decided to give you a few more gray hairs. So for you to be able to pull this on Halloween and to be able to elaborate it to this point where I literally just about shit myself, good call. Good job. Before I head out, I would like to thank Alicia Graves and Joseph Baylott for contributing to my Patreon account. If you would like to contribute as well, just go to the description section of this video and you'll see that I have a link available for my Patreon. And anyone who can contribute, that's great. If you're not able to contribute, no sweat. I'm still going to continue making these videos. But if you are able to, I'll definitely give you a shout out at the end of future videos. If you would like to connect with me on social media such as Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, all of those links are available in the description section of this as well. Now, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so, and also click that notifications bell. So until we meet again, I hope everyone has a great week and sweet nightmares.